Hello, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our Tuesday ThetaTalks. My name is Maisha, just gathering some more people before we can start this very interesting topic today. Today, we're going to discuss the three most asked questions or issues in ThetaHealing. What do people really come to us with? So this is something that a lot of your clients or individuals come to us with questions such as, is it me? Am I the only one who has these issues? And sometimes it's nice to know what other people are talking about so that you don't feel alone, right? Hi, Rosa. Welcome. So today we're going to explore some of the most talked about issues and topics so that you can get a little bit of clarity of how ThetaHealing can help you and what people are talking about. And also you are able to have a little bit more insight into what we've helped people with. And maybe you might have somebody who is actually feeling the same way, right? Or similarly in life. So this can give you a little bit of direction of how you can encourage your friends or your family members to maybe try out a little bit of ThetaHealing based on the topics. So maybe we can just have a little bit of a little bit of a quiz. So what do you guys think is the most asked question in ThetaHealing? Any guesses? What do you think is something that is asked a lot? I actually want to do it a little bit of a quiz, Q&A, to see if anybody gets it right. I mean, there's a lot of, it's spread out what we work on, but there is some things that are weaved into this journey that we have, that a lot of us are carrying similar feelings, similar issues that that end up being something that you are wanting or that you're carrying. So any guesses, guys? Okay, some of you are baffled maybe, or it's been things that you have been working on. So what I have actually done is looked at it in the segment of three different type of areas. So today I'm going to explore a little bit of these three and go a little bit into, I'm going to expound a little bit by giving a little bit of story, a little bit of insight into the issues. So a lot of our clients, and I'm going to start with the first segment that we're going to explore is manifesting. All right, a lot of the times our clients have or are coming in with, they're not happy where they are at the moment, and they know where they want to be, and they're not there. So that disconnect is where the discomfort resides. So a lot of our clients come in with manifesting issues. So what I mean by that is they may be looking for, let's say, love, right? Why can't I manifest a soulmate? Okay, and that's probably a lot of you are thinking that might be the big one. And manifesting a soulmate does come up quite a bit. So this is probably one of the most requested topics in any healing sessions. And when a client comes in with this question, why can I not, or why have I not met my soulmate yet? a lot of the times it comes in with blocks pertaining to they think they want to manifest their soulmate. But when we actually dig into the subconscious mind, we often find hidden fears, such as, if I meet my soulmate, that maybe I would lose my independence. So, or maybe I wouldn't stay who I am. Or maybe the belief is that I would have to change and shift and be who they want me to be. So a lot of times, the issues that come with manifesting a soulmate has to do with that idea that you have to change who you are or give up who you are. And I think a lot of our parents did that, or we saw that happening, right? They had to conform to their husbands or their in-laws or to society. What will society think? So if I do manifest my soulmate, subconsciously the fear is I would have to shift or I would have to change who I am to be with this person. And if I do that, then I would feel lost potentially, right? So our subconscious mind is very ahead of us. Or our subconscious mind already knows the fear. It already knows where your fears are residing. So what it's going to do is end up creating situations which reinforce, oh, see, I met that guy and he didn't like this about me, or he talked about this, so you end up creating it because that's what you're looking for and that's what you expect. Another big one in terms of soulmates is if I meet my soulmate, then, they might not choose me. I might be betrayed. They might cheat on me. Or is he really the right one? Or there might be somebody better. So there's always that kind of idea of betrayal comes up quite a bit because they have either experienced that their partner has cheated on them, or they've seen that their parents have had infidelity in their on their journey, right, in life. So if this sounds familiar, this usually comes from, as I mentioned, heartbreak or family patterns or even childhood experiences, and it could be linked to abandonment. So what the subconscious mind is going to do is, let's protect you from the pain by sabotaging it before it even begins. Okay, so this is something that is what we see in Theta Healing, and what we do to help our clients is to dig and understand and get to what we call the bottom of the experience or the fear, so that we can shift those beliefs so that the person may feel safe to love again, or the person may be feeling safe to be able to be themselves and be accepted for who they are. Love is not about losing yourself. It's about expanding with someone who reflects your healed state, right? So by working on yourself and working on your beliefs that brought you to that situation or scenario of where you're at, it allows you to shift and get out of that so that you're able to attract the person that is really right for you. Because if you're going to manifest and attract somebody in that space where you are unhealed, then you're going to have to do the healing together, while with the person it may be a little bit of a struggle or a hardship. So ideally, if you can and you know that you have these fears or these issues in that area, you would want to explore that and heal that so that it doesn't conflict in you manifesting soulmate. So another big one is still in the line of manifesting. It is manifesting money. Okay? So another big one that clients come to us is for abundance. I think a lot of us believe that if we had a lot of money, that would kind of take away that biggest burden, and it would kind of if we don't have to worry about money anymore, life would be perfect, right? And so when a client comes in and wants to manifest abundance, there's a lot of ancestral programmings that also come into the picture, money blocks. Experiences such as if I do finally get what I want, or I do manifest this money or abundance, that I might lose it or it might be taken away from me. That idea that, I may not know how to hold on to it once I get it. And it could be because growing up, your family didn't have it, or maybe you've experienced situations where you did have, or your family did have abundance, and something happened, the unknown, or something got pulled under your feet, or the rug. Especially people who grew up whether in poverty or financial instability, money feels very temporary. So the subconscious mind will be holding on to beliefs that, if I have too much money, it will be taken away from me. Or am I really deserving to be wealthy or to have money? Or the belief is, I just want to have enough. Enough can just mean a roof over your head and enough money to buy groceries and feed your family, right? Enough could just mean that. So if you want more, it does not mean that you are asking for too much, right? Because the universe is abundant. So it's not about just wanting enough, it's about wanting and having more than enough, so that if you do have abundance in your life, then you are able to focus on what is truly important for you. So having a lot of money doesn't take away all your problems, but what it does is it allows you to focus on the things that are really important, because you don't have to focus on finding or manifesting abundance, right? So we work on our clients to move into a space of trust, a place of flow, a place of enoughness, and that's according to each unique client or individual that we have. So working with abundance and money is also something that comes up quite a bit, right? I had clients who have the fear of manifesting more, because then there's more responsibility and more obligations, and what will I do with this money? So clarity is a big thing when you're manifesting. A lot of our clients may not really be clear about what they really want in their life. Like I had a client who said, Maisha, I want to be so rich, I want to manifest a Lamborghini. So I said, okay, if you did have a Lamborghini, or if you did have enough money for a Lamborghini, would you go and purchase one? And he said, no, I wouldn't. So you're telling the universe you want a Lamborghini, but subconsciously you just want the money to be able to afford the Lamborghini, right? So now the universe is confused. He doesn't really want the Lamborghini, so we won't give him that. Hence, even the money or the abundance for it, right? So manifesting, and the key to manifesting is being very clear. And sometimes our clients, or you or me, or a lot of people may not be very clear about what we want, whether it's the dollar amount, whether it's what are we going to do when we have all of this money. If your idea is I want to have a lot of money, but you don't know where or what you're going to do after, then there's no flow towards that, right? Because that becomes then another problem or another issue. Okay, if I do have a lot of money, then I have to hire a financial planner, and what if they betray me? So it could be layers upon layers. So manifesting is something that, to start off with, is something that you need to be clear about what you want, especially when it comes to money. So another area in terms of manifesting is also jobs, right? Career opportunities. Okay, a lot of our clients have blocks in terms of career, right? Because of imposter syndrome. I know we've heard this word quite a bit, and that idea of, if I step into this better role, can I really do it? What if they find out I'm not good enough? Or if I succeed, or if I step into that role, would expectations of me rise? And what if I failed? So this is like that classic imposter syndrome. And often underneath it is a fear of responsibility, or fear of being in the lead, or fear of being accountable, right? Because we're never going to be in a space where we know everything, right? We are all work in progress. And if we can understand that and accept that we are always growing and evolving, then we wouldn't be at the space where we feel like an imposter, right? And a feeling of imposter is, I don't know everything, right? We will never know everything. So when we work with clients in terms of their careers and opportunities, right, we work on this feeling of being accountable, the fear of failure. We work on the feeling of being an imposter. And we reprogram these programmings and help you feel empowered so that you don't have to go into that role with already a heaviness around your head or this burden that you are carrying. Okay? So manifesting is one of the big questions that individuals have when they come to me for ThetaHealing. Another big one, or big segment. So for those of you joining me, I'm going to divide it into segments. So the first part is manifesting. The second part, or the second area, is fears. People come to Theta healers, or I've experienced a lot of people that come in because they're afraid, they have fears. And this is a very common, or very common issues, right? Fear could be fear of actually, a dog, or heights, or the ocean, or swimming, or it could be a fear of failure, or fear of death, So many people come in because they're so afraid to fail, because failing means they're not good enough, right? Or even worse, if I fail, not only am I not good enough, I would be rejected. So these kind of fears come from disappointment that you've experienced as a child. And sometimes we think about a very small incident, and you think back about your childhood and you think, oh, that wasn't a big deal. But to a child, it is a big deal. For example, if you make a promise, or your mother promised to take you to a play area or a time zone after you finish doing your homework, and you're so excited, and that was your sense of motivation, and you finish it, and you're done, and you go to your mom, and you're like, oh, Mom, I did it, I'm done. And then she says, oh, I have a headache, it's too late, or it's closed. She makes up this excuse, or maybe it's valid even. And then at that point, as a child, that was your biggest kind of excitement. And then there's this feeling of utter disappointment. And if you're a small kid, you feel it in your body. Those feelings are big. And you've heard of kids having big feelings. So this feeling is huge. And what is the feeling? That I can't trust my parents. They disappoint me. Or they're rejecting me, or they abandon me, or they don't keep their word. And that belief can become what we call a program, because it is reinforced again and again and again. Because now your mind is looking for reasons to validate that your parents cannot be trusted. That, they will disappoint you. Okay, so fears is a big one. And what I see a lot in my clients is the fear of rejection and abandonment. That comes up quite a bit because, especially in the Philippines, we are in an environment where, a lot of single parents or OFWs who kind of left their kids to be taken care of by their grandparents or their aunts or their uncles. And so, the parents would come back once a year. And, this is very deep. where in communities where it's happened, because at the end of the day, the people I love leave me. That feeling is very kind of prominent in that child. They abandoned me, they left me, right? So this feeling, it kind of flows in the person, and it translates into the inability to be vulnerable, or inability to be intimate, or the inability to manifest a soulmate, or have true and lasting connections with people because of the fear of rejection or abandonment. And then what grows is, because I don't want to be rejected, I don't want to be abandoned, that means I need to be more than enough. I need to excel in what I do. Okay? So in instances like that, where the child is now thinking that the best way to not feel abandoned is to excel, then that becomes that sense of motivation. And now anything that he does needs to be more than enough. And then the fear of failure comes in. Because if I fail, I'll be rejected, or I would be abandoned. Okay, another big fear is a fear of not having enough, scarcity. Okay, if you grew up with very little, your brain expects loss or struggle. And this is not just your story. It could be, as I mentioned, your parents' or your ancestors' story. It could have been passed down through generations. There is such a thing as a poverty consciousness, right? So we want to move from that poverty consciousness into alignment with knowing that it is possible to have abundance, and it is safe to, and that it can be sustained. And another fear that we have, which is prominent, and a lot of my clients have this, is the fear of being alone. Okay? Some people avoid growth because it means that maybe I'll be isolated. Okay? And this kind of ties in with, I was the only child, or because there was a big gap between my brothers and I, or my sisters and I was always alone, or it was always a nanny that took care of me. So there is this fear of being alone. It ties in with being single parents and your parents not being around for you, and hence feeling alone. And that is something that is in our cellular memory or in our body, right? And we kind of remember it, and we are afraid of it. Now, so that's something that I've worked with often. So there's manifesting and fears. And I've just worked on this emotional aspect of fears, but I've worked with fear of dogs, fear of heights, and these things can also be cleared very easily. I had a client who had the fear of heights, and on working within 30 minutes, this fear that she'd been carrying for many, many years was cleared. And it allowed her to feel more liberated and free, where she could go on airplanes and fly and do things with her children and her husband where she could never have done before. And when she told her kids after that session and her husband that, I'm not afraid of heights anymore, well, he couldn't, or they didn't believe her, because we are in that position or the situation where, is it really possible to let go of these things very quickly? And I'm here to tell you that it is definitely possible. So fears are a big one that our clients come to us with. And another one, which I find very interesting, is a lot of mental health issues or fears, especially post-pandemic, right? We've all lived through something that we couldn't have avoided. All of us went through this. The pandemic has kind of shaped our nervous system. So this fear of the future, the need to be hyper vigilant, the trauma of people that we loved dying and not being able to see them. So this has created a lot of anxiety and worry, and it may or may not be able to be traced to the pandemic, but when I do work with clients, a lot of it comes from the feeling of not feeling safe, right? that is something that I've worked quite a bit with clients, and it surfaced in terms of all of a sudden, I'm afraid to fly. For instance, with these crashes happening, it triggers this feeling of fear and anxiety and worry and that feeling of unsafe, and a lot of people have experienced it. I had a friend of mine whose daughter, and they traveled most recently, and the flight was quite turbulent, and she was like holding her mom very, very tight, whereas before that, she wasn't afraid. So a lot of our fears can also be triggered. And it could be rooted also in what we experienced in the pandemic. A lot of us kind of woke up to that idea that our mental health is also something that we need to work on and take care of. Depression is also something that we see, or ADHD or autism, and neurolinguistic, the neuro aspects of things is something that we see and have seen more often now in these couple of years versus before. The feeling of hopelessness. So with Theta Healing, we can work on clearing these, depression or these feelings, and can also work in parallel with psychologists or psychiatrists, and so that we get the most the quickest healing, and be able to allow our clients to also kind of wean away from any medication they may be taking based on the psychologist and what they advise as we go along with our sessions with them. So these are a few of our most asked questions and issues, right? So just to summarize, it's manifesting, it's fears that we work on quite a bit, and anxiety, depression, chronic worry, or ADHD, autism, neurodivergence, right? These kind of things have been coming up quite a bit as well. So I know it was me solo this week, and I hope you did enjoy this, and I didn't ramble on too much. So I look forward to seeing, and maybe for you guys to see a partner next week as well. So thank you for taking this time to listen. We don't have virtual cards today because I'm still not in Manila, and we will catch up on that next week. So thank you guys for spending this evening with me, and I hope that gave you a little bit of clarity and insight on the type of things that we explore. If you do want to connect with me for an emotional breakthrough session, please do, especially since any of these things kind of highlighted any or triggered anything or kind of activated anything within you or your friends, please do let them know that we do offer 20-minute breakout sessions, emotional breakthrough sessions, and I look forward to seeing you guys soon. Thank you. See you soon.